Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Muhammad Christian Putra Adi, and I will present my individual review presentation of an article entitled Mapping the Aesthetic Space of Literature from Below. The author of this article is Christine Agnew, Valentin Wagner, Thomas Jacobson, and Winfried Manninghaus. For their background, they came from Max Planck Institute for Empirical Aesthetic and Helmut Schmidt University, University of the Federal Armed Forces Hamburg, Allgemeine und Biologische Psychologie. The article can be found in the Journal of Poetics, date the 1st April 2016, which consists of the article itself consists of 15 pages, and the journal is the 56th volume of the Journal Poetics. For the keywords of the article, it is aesthetic appeal dimension, genre, literary form, and terminological mapping. So for the introduction, at the beginning of the article, the author emphasized that reading literature is similar to those viewing visual artwork or listening music, in which we are required to have perception, cognition, affection, and the procession of dimension. These elements then what made us able to perceive the aesthetic appeal of a work of literature. For the aim and the purpose, it is to elucidate the conceptual structure of the aesthetic of literature. So the word elucidates here have similar meaning to the word of to clear up or to explain. For the significance of the study, it is to reveal form and genre-specific variation in the relevant vocabulary and interdependency and similarities between genre-specific expression. The thesis statement of this study is the resulting attribution of particular aesthetic appeal dimension to particular works or genres of literature reflect the conceptual representation of one, our aesthetic appreciation of this work, or of the expectation we have of a certain genres. The method that this article uses is quantitative method, in which the researcher gathers 1,544 students of different academic disciplines from Hamburg and Berlin at the mean age of 23.5 years old. The use of the student is due to the affability and to keep the result as comparable as possible to the other related studies. The object of this study itself is 6 types of literature works. So the literature itself, poems, novels, short stories, plays, and comedies. The discussion of this article found that there are 3 big terms of aesthetic that the participant choose or preferred when reading literature works. That is beautiful, suspenseful, and interesting. These 3 terms then supplement by additional terms such as poetic, romantic, funny, or sad. However, these additional terms are chosen by the participant only on specific types of literature works. So, for example, the terms funny made up the majority of literature works in the form of comedics and plays. Meanwhile, the term of saddening or sad only come up substantially in the literature work forms of plays. And then the result of the study found that there is also a strong overlap between current studies and previous study regarding music and poetry, which poetry appears to favor a comparison with music over a comparison with other literary genre that are based on plot, such as short stories or plays. Literature in general, when compared to non-literary domain, has the greatest overlap with visual arts and can be read as supporting the long-standing ut pictura poesis tradition. So for the literary review, the study used 3 main articles as the guideline for its previous study. First is an article by Jacobson et al. It's used as it successfully used a free listing task to collect terms used for designating aesthetically relevant dimension of object at large. Next is an article by Isok et al. In 2009, which is included in the literature review, as this study tried to find out the aesthetic of music using the same method as what Jacobson previously used, and also this article used. Lastly, third article created by Agustin, Carbon, and Weckmans in 2012 is also included because it already contain or collect the terms describing the aesthetic appeal of different group of visual objects. So for the conclusion of this article, there are 4 key results that can be obtained from this study. First, the aesthetic concept of beauty can be found on all types of literature. However, this does not mean that beautiful is also prevalent in the same situation. Poetry is the leading type of literature that contains aesthetic of beautiful regarding to the participant choice. In other genre of literature, short stories are led with suspenseful, plays with funny and sad, while a comedy is found to have almost equal amount of suspenseful, funny, witty, and ironic. 2. Comparison between previous study and this study underscore the commonalities between music and poetry. 3. The prominent factors can be found on aesthetic of literature. There are 2 of them, that is the plot-based appeal dimension and the poetic appeal dimension. Lastly, the from below approach identifies verbal concept which form conceptual map of prototypical aesthetic perception and evaluation regarding particular literary genre. The participant in this study did not evaluate individual work of literature, but listed expected dimension of aesthetic appreciation regarding literary genres. Furthermore, they choose their own wording rather than responding to expert-selected items, which there are no data of this type has been collected in previous empirical research on literature. So the overall statement, the article tried to explore an overall structure of aesthetic in reading a literary work similar to those when we are listening to music or watching a piece of visual artwork. From what it found, concepts such as beautiful, suspenseful, and interesting are being found available in all forms of literary works. However, different type of literary work has their own leading concepts such as funny and sad for plays and comedy, or romantic for poetry. To be honest, it is hard to find the strength of this article. The structure of discussion is rather convoluted, and also add to that, the use of uncommon vocabulary within the article made it hard for people to perform reading of the whole article, which for me myself, it required several times of close reading. However, the main strength that I found in this article is that the conclusion of the article sums the content of the article very well, and that it will provide you with clear information if you still unable to understand the content of the article itself. So I think that is all from my review. I hope it's satisfying. I hope it's informative enough for you. And if you have question, I will answer it willingly in the already available space, the forum. So thank you for your attention and good afternoon.